Hello, everybody. What an episode. This is the Sour Grap Society review of episode 3 of The Last of Us on HBO. This was a truly beautiful and tragic tale. I would say almost entirely isolated from the rest of the through line of the show. It got to show us pieces of characters that we didn't get a fully fleshed out sketch of in the video game. We think we know Bill a little bit. Bill helps us, run around Bill's town and get a car battery. We kill some, runners and clickers and a bloater, you know. But ultimately, it's the Bill's traps are a bigger character than Bill is in the game. And they decided at some point they weren't going to do Bill in the show like they had Bill in the game. At least not those scenes. Not Bill. Like in the game, one of the biggest set pieces is Joel going into like a warehouse and stepping in a tripwire, and like a counterweight, a refrigerator, drops from the ceiling and pulls him up so he's hanging upside down, and Ellie climbs on top of the refrigerator and has to cut the rope with a pocket knife while he is taking pot shots with a revolver while swaying back and forth upside down at a bunch of infected who are coming to kill and eat him and also Ellie. Like, that's a whole major set piece in the game. It's very cool, very immersive. And then Bill is the one who comes in and saves them. And then they have the rest of that time. There's the stalking through the graveyard. They go and they investigate a bunch of houses. They finally get to the schoolyard. All this stuff. Not in the show. They took it all out of the show. And I would have thought that if you take that out of the show, there's really no need for Bill anymore. You know what I mean? Like, at least not, he doesn't serve the same function that he did in the game. So if he doesn't serve that function anymore, why even include him in the show? But of course I'm wrong. And there's a fantastic reason to include him, which is that he shows us what love can do. In this world that is dead, and this savage and ugly and sad, there is the possibility for love. And love in a wonderful, vivid, true fashion. I cannot say enough about the performances by Nick Offerman and Mary Bartlett as Bill and Frank, respectively. What a wonderful love story, and it doesn't even end in the same way that the game ends. There is a suicide, but not for the same reasons at all. Thank you everybody for being here. Sentai Ace, Michael, Peyton, Kevin, Chi-Town, Cinnabay, Meat, Capital P, Doug. Doug, like, in the game, Frank leaves Bill But on the way to leave Bill, he is bitten. And he kills himself because he was bitten. He leaves Bill because he doesn't like Bill anymore. But he's kills himself because he was bitten. He would have just left Bill with the truck. He would have just left him. But no, he they definitely don't have the same relationship in the show as they did in the game, which I think is fine. This is a much better reason for it. And another thing about it is that just all the scenes of a love growing and blossoming between these two middle-aged men, one of whom, at least Bill says, has never been with a man before. Once, a long time ago, he was with a woman. The way Nick Offerman plays that moment of wonderful, terrible honesty is it's truly it's truly amazing. I thought that was such an amazing moment for the way that Nick Offerman played Bill there, to say, I haven't never done this before once with a woman a long time ago. It was just oh God, it was so great. I know they give out Emmys for like a guest performance. I don't know how both of these men can't be nominated for it. Just so great. But also we got a chance to see via Bill what it might be like if you survived the first wave of everybody being either killed or evacuated to a QZ. These people who were able to survive that and just live on their own, how would they be able to do such a thing? And the very simple and practical way of doing that is that you build yourself an underground bunker underneath your basement and wait for the army to come through and evacuate your small town. And then you leave and you gas up your vehicle, and you also gas up a whole bunch of barrels at the local fuel station because, money is worthless. So you do that, and you hitch a boat to the back of your pickup truck, and you go to Home Depot, and you put thousands of dollars worth of building materials and stuff in the back of your pickup and also in your boat, and you drive that home, and you build yourself a fucking town with tripwires and fences. For example, somebody might say, playing the game, well, how does Bill even make that town? Like, how does he even do that? Well, the show showed you how he did it. Like, he hollowed out the boat so he would have more room to put stuff in it when driving it back from Home Depot. Less trips. It was so good. Premium gas, too. Gotta get the premium stuff. Why would you get anything else? I thought that was all very interesting. The way that he built everything around him, and the way he lived his life, and the fact that he was an amazing foodie, and he was making himself like au jus venison steaks and stuff, with a wine reduction. Like, of course, it's a wonderful thing. And then when when Frank shows up, we get little tidbits of information about how the world is running over these past 20 years by when you have Frank, who's there, and he says, we came with 10, there's just me left. We were coming from the Baltimore QZ to go to the Boston QZ. Baltimore QZ is gone. He doesn't elaborate, for us anyway. I'm sure he tells Bill what happened, but for us, all we know is he says Baltimore QZ is gone. Yes, capital P. Hit the like if you would like. Please hit the like. Get some more eyes on this thing. Get the old algorithm working for us. But I love that there's that little detail that just lets you know how it's going on. That it was 3 years after everything fell apart, Baltimore QZ lasted 3 years. 3 years, and this thing that they set up in Baltimore fell apart. It's gone, he says. We don't know why, but a lot of these things in the game is talked about how there were uprisings and the people there just overran the soldiers and took over, and then it was like every man for himself, Lord of the Flies shit. So, so letting us know that via this little incidental piece of dialogue is really clever and efficient. Um, but yeah, their love story and Frank being an extrovert who wants to make as many friends as possible. It's he who starts talking to Tess on the radio and gets her to come by the house for dinner to show them things because he wants to make friends or whatever. And there was a really great scene between Joel and Bill sitting at the table outside. Yeah, Annie Werschling, who played no Tess, the one who played Tess in the game, I believe. She was only 45. Jesus. R.I.P. Allie, you're not late to the party. Allie Cease, everyone, congratulate Allie Cease. She wrestled a match today against Billy Starks. Like a real friggin' match against Billy Starks of all people. Everyone, applause for Allie Cease in the chat, because Allie Cease, I feel like a proud papa, and that's so awesome. I really love that scene between Joel and Bill. Hallie, I did not see your Canadian story. I haven't seen film of it yet. I need to actually see that. I have not actually seen that, but the Joel and Bill's scene about each of them being very paranoid and not trusting other people, and them being their version of each other to Tess. Like the friendship that was obviously immediately developing between Tess and Frank was a really interesting little thing that they could have found. It was obvious. It was Frank's idea to set up the whole thing, sending the coded messages, 60s, 70s, 80s. God, it was so great. Such a great little touches there. I we'll get back. Obviously, the meat of the episode, of course, is Bill and Frank. But I wanted to touch on real quick all of the very, very quick and again efficient ways that they told us the story during the Joel and Ellie scenes of them walking along and seeing the downed plane in the meadow up on a hill, and Joel looking at it like it's nothing, and Ellie being like, "My God, do you actually be getting one of those?" And like, yeah, I mean, it wasn't all great. It wasn't all great. But she's like, "Dude, you went up in the sky." And I guess actually, when you think about it, to somebody for whom that is no longer a possibility, the idea of "you went up in the sky" is such a wonderful way of putting it. I really like that scene between the two of them going to the little market on the side of the road, and Ellie finding the basement and going down there and finding an infected and not telling Joel about it ever. And just kind of toying with it because it was crushed under a bunch of cinder blocks, like still alive, but couldn't come after her. So she just toyed with it, like cutting open one of its weird like pustules or whatever, and then stabbed it in the brain. This little Ellie is fucked up. She's fucked up, and she's gonna murder so many people. Yeah. yeah, there was that was a really cool little inset part of that. But I also just loved the very, I keep using that word, efficient way that Joel describes to Ellie and thus to us, the audience who haven't lived through it, what they knew about what happened at the time. Somebody put two and two together that it was the flour or the baked goods or whatever that did it. Some, like, the news would have put that out there. Somebody would have figured it out. It was some kind of literature. Fedra knew about it. Whatever. After the fact, everyone figured out why they all got infected. But enough people got infected from the flour, and those people went crazy, started biting other people, and those people got infected from the bites, and their society's done. And they said, like, there was like Friday night, September 26, 2003. By Monday morning, everything was gone. So it happened in a weekend. The world ended in a weekend. Which is crazy. Hello, Kate. Good to have you here. The Kentuckian destroyer, Allie Albright, of the toothpaste Albrights. No, that, just the idea of it. Not, you remember when COVID started and people were fucking buying 100 rolls of toilet paper at a go? Well, according to this version of what a real world ender pandemic would be, you wouldn't be able to go through even 2 of those rolls before the whole world fell apart. You know what I mean? Them going to the them going to that open pit grave, where people were evacuated from small towns where the pandemic hadn't hit yet, the infection hadn't hit yet, but they were evacuated anyway and taken. They were told they were being taken to a QZ, and they were, but if there wasn't room for them, they were just shot on the side of the road and then just left to rot in the open air. They're doing a really great job about showing, you know, how everything would absolutely fall apart in really, really grim and disgusting ways. Yeah, when Ellie killed the infected, the fact the inside is all pus and fungi now, it's cool detective to detail. Yeah, that is true. So that's the little setup that we got between Ellie and Joel. Joel kind of trying to figure out how to process losing Tess. And then we get our flashback with Bill building his town and then finding Murray. I keep saying Murray, Frank. And their beautiful little courtship over a perfect a man who knows to pair a rabbit with Beaujolais, he says. Yeah. Patrick's saying this is one of the best episodes of TV I've ever seen. Bill and Frank's love story was amazing. I'm glad they fleshed that out, and it makes sense that everything would fall apart in a weekend. It does make sense. Everything could fall apart in a weekend, especially if, you know, the people aren't prepared for it at all. I love Ellie saying, yeah, you know, we went to a Fedra school. they're not exactly teaching us about how their stupid government failed to protect us or adequately prepare for a global pandemic that killed all these people. Alexander, yes, we're going to do an RDR2 stream right after this. This might be a shorter episode because there's so little I can say about this other than Nick Offerman as Bill and Murray Bartlett as Frank give two of the most beautiful, honest, fearless performances I've ever seen that are contained entirely within one episode of television. Like, neither guy, I'm assuming, is going to appear in any other episodes. This is entirely done in flashback. By the time we see them in present day, both of them are dead. Spoiler alert. I was not at all prepared, at all, for the raiders. Joel saying to Bill, "There will be raiders. They will come in the night, and they're gonna get around your tripwires and stuff." And Bill saying, "We'll be fine." And it turns out Bill was right, kind of. The raiders did come. They did come in the night, but he had an amazing tripwire that just set off sparks, and then the gas turned on. Because I love this thing. He went to the natural gas company and turned on all the gas so the gas would flow to his house. Because he needed the natural gas. And apparently that's still working years down the line. That scene where he was out there in the street in the rain with a bolt-action rifle shooting at the guys who are on fire on the other side of the fence. And those guys are shooting back. And one of them gets him in the side, kind of. And Frank has to kind of perform surgery on him on their dining room table. And then flash forward 10 years, and Frank is dying. He's in a wheelchair. He's obviously very, very ill. I'm going to go ahead and say cancer, but I honestly don't know. That seems to be my only guess. They do talk about how there was no cure for this before the world ended. Who do you think's going to show up? The door-to-door MRI salesman? Like, just the sadness of Frank knowing he's gonna die and there's nothing they could do about it, and Bill going through all the motions, being his caretaker, and not being able to process really that he's going to die. Oh, ALS. Could be ALS. ALS or cancer, yeah. Yeah, I mean, a stroke would debilitate you, but it wouldn't be something that, if he was able to use half of his body and talk and, cognitate or whatever, it probably wouldn't kill him, but it could have put him in the wheelchair to begin with. ALS, cancer, something like that. You go back to the wonderful, perfect gift of a strawberry garden that Frank gave to Bill. That he planted strawberries behind one of the houses in the neighborhood and cultivated it. Must have been over months. And they grew in perfectly. Whenever my wife and I try and plant strawberries, we get like one, and it's like this size. So he must have had an amazing green thumb. But yeah, it's such a fantastic gesture on his part to his partner. Another foodie who would, just the idea of tasting a strawberry for the first time in years. It was just such a wonderful expression of love, and the expression of love that Bill gets to give to Frank is that Bill agrees to end Frank's life for him a little prematurely. Frank has the whole thing planned out with how he wants his last day to go, um, and wants to they get married, which I thought was such a sweet thing. And you were going to cook me an amazing dinner. You're going to crush these pills, put them in my wine. They're going to take me to bed, and I'm going to fall asleep in your arms. And Bill does everything that Frank wants, except for Bill takes it one step further, and he crushes up all the pills and puts them in the bottle of wine that they share. So therefore, they're both going to die. So they fall asleep, both of them, in each other's arms. It's he just wasn't prepared to go on without him. There was nothing he had left to live for. The whole Frank was Bill's whole world. There's no reason to keep going without Frank, so Bill making that decision makes all kinds of sense in the world. Um, Alexander, no, the zombie did not kiss Ellie. The zombie's fungus was hunting for the fungus growing within Tess, and that's a different thing. It was not a. It looked like a kiss. It was not a kiss. We talked about this last week. But the note that Bill thought ahead enough to write and leave for probably Joel was was a was a very heartbreaking touch. I never liked you, but I guess we could call us friends. Um, and just the way that there are so many little little things being left for Joel to continue to make sure that he fulfills his duty to take Ellie where she's supposed to go. Tess making him promise that he was going to see this through. Because of all the horrible shit that they've done, do this one thing for me to make things right. And then Bill leaving the note for Joel saying, that's who we are. That's why men like us exist. To protect the people we love. To save who we can. It is, oh. You could tell also just the way that Joel reacted to it. And a lot of it is like, it didn't seem like Joel and Bill were all that close, but you could tell that Tess and Frank were pretty close. So it's it's like your wife is really great friends with one half of the gay couple down the street, and his husband and you don't get along, but you're over there all the time because your wife and one of them are great friends, and so you're going to go over all the time and watch movies and hang out and do stuff. But that was the relationship you had. It makes very sweet, very it makes it very real. Um, uh, yeah, the loadings the first shot of the first episode is a loading screen from the first game, and the final shot of this episode is the loading screen of the first game. It's the open window with the curtains and the gentle breeze. That is, I think, a theme we're going to see throughout the series. They've already done it twice in 3 episodes. We're going to see a lot of gentle breezes through open windows, fluttering curtains, I think over and over and over again as a running visual motif. I think it's going to really, really work. Lord Kev, true. The letter that he wrote is a callback to all the letters Joel finds in the game. It's a nice touch. It's so good. It's such a. It is. Where where Ellie is going through all the drawers in the study at Bill and Frank's house and finds the gun. Her finding the gun is very important because Joel won't let her have her own, so she has to steal one so she can have it for her own. I really love that. I'm assuming we're still going to get the moment where she pulls a gun and kills somebody who was about to kill Joel. But I love it more if it turns out to be that gun that she pulled out of the drawer at Bill and Frank's place, as opposed to picking up the gun that Joel dropped, like they do in the game. It'd be so much better if it's this gun that she finds. Yeah, it's really, really excellent. Yeah, that's for true. Joel saying there's not a lot of ammo out there for the machine gun makes it basically worthless, which is true. You're just carrying around a big, heavy bludgeon that's just going to weigh you down, get caught on things. You need to find a gun that you can get lots of ammo for. I mean, a machine gun, whatever, an assault rifle of some kind. Where you only have 15 rounds for it, and that's it. With the sheer bulk of it, it's worth a lot less to you than a Glock 9mm that you have 100 rounds for. Even if the gun itself is better, if you don't have enough bullets for it, it's kind of worthless, you know? Tim Beatty, our mod, saying, hello, chat. Please leave a like to help these reviews grow. And remember, there's a Red Dead Redemption 2 tonight, after this review. Indeed, there is. Yeah. I thought about doing it at about 11:30, maybe even later Eastern time, but it looks like we're going to move that up a bit because I've kind of run out of things to say about this episode. Other than it deserves all of the Emmys. Everything you could any award you want to give it, it deserves. The writing is beautiful. The direction is lovely. The performances are uniformly fantastic. To change Bill from the prepper curmudgeon in the game to an honest and vulnerable expression of how love can continue to exist in a world that has died. Like, using him for that metaphor instead. And also, he's basically the same character. It's very, very... It's very beautiful. Yeah, the zombie survival guide brings the exact things up. Handguns will have more available ammo. It's true. Yeah. I would say the only thing more powerful than that I might carry with me is a sawed-off shotgun if you can get into like a Dick's Sporting Goods or something. Yeah, it's poetic. Very good point, capital P. There was a little bit of a preview next. It looks like we're heading into that spot where they're about to run into the band of marauders or whatever who fake out travelers by pretending to be dying in the middle of the road. Hey, are we gonna? We're not gonna help this guy? Hell, he ain't even sick. And put on your seatbelt, and they run him over. God, that's gonna be great. That's gonna be great. Yeah, the Pittsburgh chapter. Although they changed a lot so far. Maybe it doesn't even happen in Pittsburgh. Maybe it happens someplace else. They might change it from Pittsburgh to something else. The Hunters, they call it Hunters. Melanie Linsky was shown in the preview for the next episode, and as far as I know, the character description is that she is the leader of a band of survivors in Kansas City. Do not look at Twitter right now. It's the most toxic place on the net tonight. About this episode? Well, I mean, like, I'm not surprised. But then again, you'd have to be pretty dense to play the game and not realize what they were telling you about about Bill from the very beginning. Like, you had to know that Bill is gay in the game. Like, Ellie finds a Playgirl magazine that he had. Like, he's gay in the game, so he's gay in this. They just chose to show it in a different way. But of course, that's too much. It's too woke. It's too woke. Last of Us is too woke. Wokety woke, 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 woke. No. Jesus. Here's the thing, and this is what's great about it, is that The Last of Us was never for those motherfuckers, the homophobes. The main character Ellie is gay. They made Bill gay. It's so woke. Look at all of these different races that are in the game. Well, guess what? More of them are in this as in the show as well. Like, it's just the thing. It's like, I mean, like, if you didn't play the game, what are you complaining about? That gay people exist in the apocalypse? Or that they showed you too many shots of guys making out? Get a fucking life, you fucking homophobic geeks. Stop watching the show. There you go. Stop watching the show. The show is so damn woke for you. I'm not gonna stop watching. Good. Go away. We don't need you. That's what I'm gonna say. Oh, well, people like Bill never met Ellie, want to see him interact. Listen, here's the thing. If I know anything about what I think they're going to do, they're going to replace Bill with a different character that Ellie meets, and Ellie's going to react the same way to Bill, and that Bill replacement will react to Ellie in the same way. There may even be some similar lines, but that kind of a thing, Ellie being the kind of absolute brat that she is to Bill, will be shown somewhere. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think they'll do that somewhere. Yeah, they interacted for they were, I think they had 4 lines to each other. Bill doesn't like Ellie. That's it. And Ellie doesn't like Bill because Bill doesn't like Ellie. Why doesn't Bill like Ellie? Because Bill doesn't like strangers. That's it. That's the whole friggin' thing. Like, I mean, Bill not meeting Ellie is not a reason to be upset. Like, you can say, I missed those scenes, but guess what? What they replaced it with was one of the best episodes of television ever, I think. But that's just me. Wow. Tim Beatty's saying, I slay to see a tweet that says, slow your woke instead of slow your roll. They'll take time out of their life to tweet this to show their ignorance. Oh, yeah. Season 2 is already greenlit, so imagine that crowd when Ellie has a girlfriend. Listen, Cinnabay, if I know anything about these types, that's probably their Pornhub searches is all about that kind of being gay. Not this kind of being gay, because that's icky. But that kind of being gay is A-okay with these guys. So, yeah. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. We will be wrapping up this episode of review here. It's I just can't say enough about how perfectly the episode was crafted and then performed by those two gentlemen. Really looking forward to seeing them get back on as great as this was, and it was great. I am looking forward to seeing more of the Joel and Ellie relationship develop. um, whatever they do with uh, Sam and I can never remember the name of the guy. Sam and what's the name of the fella? His brother, the two brothers. It's Sam and who's the other one? Henry. Sam and Henry. The two brothers, they meet in Pittsburgh in the game. That storyline is going to wreck me when I see it on the show. Henry and Sam is going to be so hard to get through. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, it's going to be, oh my God. But anyway, we'll get to that next week. And I want to thank everybody for being here, for being a part of this stream. We are going to we're going to move this out of the way. Let's go ahead and say we're going to start a Red Dead 2 playthrough in about 15 minutes. So let's say at bottom of the hour, 11:30 Eastern, we're going to do our Red Dead. We're going to do our Red Dead 2 playthrough over there on the same channel over there. So, have fun. Have fun. For the rest of your evening, if you do not decide to join us over there. Thank you so much for being a part of this. We'll see you here next week for another review of this wonderful show. Until then, endure and survive.